Protesters rallied against the closing of Echo Park. 2 community members tell us how they have been directly affected.
The Trojan family just got bigger. Find out how the newly welcomed class of 2025 is already breaking records.
And the USC basketball team advances to the Elite Eight for the first time in 20 years. Find out how the Trojans helped make history for LA.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
The USC basketball team made it to the Elite Eight for the first time in 2 decades. Good evening, I'm Noah Camras.
And I'm Cambri Guest. We're reporting from outside Wallace Annenberg Hall on campus. UCLA advanced as well, making this the first time the crosstown rivals are in the quarterfinals in the same year.
Students from each school aren't surprised to see their teams making a run.
I think with the team that they have, they had a really good shot of going far, and people, of course, were overlooking them and thinking they're overrated and stuff like that. But I mean, watching them all year and throughout their struggles through some games, I knew that if they got hot at the right time, that they would make a pretty big run.
After getting past Michigan State in the first 4, I thought the path was clear. And as much as a lot of people don't know this, but UCLA was like first place in the Pac12 for most of the season until we fell off at the end. So we're a great basketball team coming together at the right time.
This is just the 4th time a USC team has made it into the Elite Eight. The Trojans made Elite Eights in 1940, 1954, and 2001. An Annenberg professor who covered USC's Elite Eight 2 decades ago shares what it means for the team to be back.
I went back and looked at that bracket a couple days ago, and I realized USC was the 6th seed then as well. USC actually jumped out to like a 21-point lead. I just remember watching that lead build and just being like, what parallel universe am I living in? Yeah, it was just a really great experience, not only like from the standpoint of being a USC fan, but also like being fresh out of school and doing the thing.
USC and UCLA join Oregon State as the 3 Pac-12 teams in the Elite Eight. Our sports anchor Nathan has more on what that means later in the show.
Activists and members of the Echo Park Unhoused community gathered outside City Hall today. They complained about how the city forced them to leave the park that has been home for more than 200 people.
I'm one of the displaced who the police just violently displaced the other day at Echo Park. And what we're trying to achieve here is a waking up of the public, because we're officially in a police state. They won't even let us assemble or speak. This is larger than the unhoused and housed. Now this is about our right to be citizens and not be policed by the state.
Trying to achieve to get our park back where we can legally put our community back together and save these people's lives.
City officials say that Echo Park had to be cleared out for renovations. And they say hotels and temporary housing was provided for hundreds living in tents. Just a block away at the LAPD headquarters downtown, another rally was held this morning. During a month when 7 Los Angeles residents were shot by police, the Police Commission Board canceled their weekly meeting.
Much accountability is required. That's why there's a trial going on right now in Minneapolis. Because
the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, a local abolitionist group, feels these cancellations silence community efforts to organize for more effective public safety. An organizer says that without focusing on the systemic issues, injustices resulting from police surveillance will continue.
The purpose of these institutions has always been to oppress, to dominate, in particular, Black and Brown communities, unhoused communities, migrant communities, queer and trans communities. That's always been their purpose. The city of Los Angeles spends over half of its budget on the LAPD, over half of the unrestricted revenue that city council has discretion to adjust every year. That's all money that could be going to fund things that actually keep us safe. It could be paying for housing. It could be paying for better schools. It could be paying for parks. It could be paying for infrastructure. It could be paying for the things that will actually make our communities safer and stronger without policing.
Groups like the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition say they aim to hold oppressive institutions accountable and to shift power back into communities. We reached out to the LAPD and did not receive a response.
Testimony in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer charged with the murder of George Floyd got emotional today. I'm Emily Bonilla reporting from Altadena. Bystanders, including an emergency medical technician and several teenagers, shared how they felt as they witnessed Floyd's death.
I believe I witnessed a murder. I did call the police on the police.
3 grown men is a lot. Of putting all their weight on somebody is too much. I offered to walk them through it, or told them, if he doesn't have a pulse, you need to start compressions, and that wasn't done either.
5 people who witnessed Derek Chauvin kneel on Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes revisited the horror and fear of that day in Minneapolis. We spoke to an expert in civil rights on how this historic trial is affecting the nation.
Seeing the impact on these child witnesses, right? These, hearing a 17-year-old talk about the impact on their life of seeing someone die before their eyes. This isn't just about George Floyd, right? This hurt everyone who is there and everyone who's experienced the trauma in some way. The force, the weight of this racist violence that is so endemic in our society, it is very heavy right now.
The murder trial will resume in the morning and is expected to last about 4 weeks.
LA County is set to drop into the orange tier of the state's COVID-19 safety categories. Starting April 5th, many places that have been closed for over a year may be open for business. Beginning next week, there will be no capacity restrictions at stores, personal care businesses, and outdoor bars. 50% capacity at movie theaters, churches, museums, zoos, and aquariums. 25% at fitness centers and theme parks. At the Dodgers' first home game on April 9th, 1/3 of Dodgers Stadium can be filled with fans.
A new survey conducted by USC and the California Emerging Technology Fund found that 91% of households have high-speed internet access, but nearly 2 million California households have trouble getting online. 16% of low-income Californians are not connected to the internet and 10% rely on smartphones. These residents don't have internet at home when most services are online due to the pandemic. Where you live also matters. LA County and the Central Valley have the highest percentage of residents with no connection or who rely solely on smartphones. The study also looked at race. 24% of the Hispanic community are unconnected or rely on smartphone usage, compared to only 5% of whites.
We also saw not just a digital divide revealed during the pandemic, but we have actually said it's a digital cliff. From previous work and surveying we have done, we find that the low-income households and the lowest of those households in terms of income are the most fragile.
In the coming weeks, more information will be released focusing on the challenges parents and K-12 households are having with internet connectivity and broadband.
In honor of Women's History Month, we're highlighting women who inspire us. Annenberg Media's Savannah Welch introduces us to her mom, who taught her how to deal with life's challenges.
Okay. Alrighty.
When I was 5, I remember my grandmother grabbing one of my mini curls and saying, "Look at this hair. You get it from your mom's side." I may have inherited this hair from my mom, but what I learned from my mom was how to face life's toughest challenges. I can still hear her say, "We just need to get this in the rearview mirror." In 2018, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. The doctors kept telling her, "It's bad. It's very bad." Her response? To wear really bad wigs. She was determined to keep our spirits up, even though we all knew she might not make it. When she did put cancer in her rearview mirror, the San Diego Padres asked my mom to be the honorary bell ringer before the game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. My mom's determination is why she's here today. I really do get it from my mom.
Popular LA food hall Grand Central Market is hosting a community bake sale to support Children's Hospital Los Angeles. This is the final fundraising event for the 6th annual Make March Matter campaign. 14 vendors, including market staple Donut Man, are participating in the virtual bake sale. Both large and small pastry boxes can be pre-ordered online, with 100% of proceeds going to Children's Hospital.
I think it's definitely great that the Donut Man did decide to participate in the fundraiser, especially since we've had our own challenges with reopening and the outdoor dining closing and then indoor dining reopening and just kind of trying to make light of everything that's going on. It's definitely given everybody kind of more of a reason to work. The fact that we can give back to somebody that needs it is definitely great.
Businesses have struggled and we realize that. And we are making a conscious effort through the Make March Matter campaign to support the businesses that are supporting the hospital. So, we want people to go out and go to these businesses, make purchases, and know that these businesses are also donating to support our cause.
This Friday is the last day to pre-order online, but boxes will be available for in-person pickup through Sunday.
Evan, Isaiah, and Eric Mobley are easily the most interesting story of the NCAA March Madness tournament. Evan and Isaiah may be catching eyes around the country, but many forget that their father, Eric Mobley, is the team's assistant coach. Eric comes by his coaching roots honestly, as he not only played in college, but coached AAU basketball for 11 years. Now that Evan and Isaiah led USC to the Elite Eight for the first time since before Evan was even born, we bring in multi-level basketball reporter and analyst Deshaun Tate.
Michael Porter Jr. and maybe Jonte Porter, whose father was on that staff at Missouri. But listen, they didn't even come remotely close to sniffing the success, especially looking at it in this setting, March Madness in the postseason.
Let's check out a few quick highlights of the brothers. Evan Mobley can dribble the ball like he's 6 foot small, but is actually 7 foot tall, as he finishes a two-handed poster dunk you could hang on your wall. Isaiah goes coast to coast, showing that Evan isn't the only unicorn in the family, as he pulls off the soft, one-handed finish. That's all on the Mobleys, but Nathan's got more March Madness for us.
Back the pack. The Conference of Champions has taken March Madness by storm this year, sending 4 teams to the Sweet 16 and 3 to the Elite Eight. I'm Nathan Ackerman with Annenberg Media Sports reporting from Los Angeles. It's the first time the conference has sent 3 teams to the Elite Eight in 20 years, and it's got Pac-12 followers calling for recognition after flying under the radar in the regular season.
3 teams make the Sweet 16. 4 teams make the Sweet 16, and 3 make the Elite Eight. That's impressive, and that's going to go a long way in kind of generating some new excitement for the conference.
They still have some things to prove in terms of their dominance in the NCAA. When you come back next season and you're still as strong as you are right now, then that'll be the telling moment.
The Pac12 success also comes as the Big Ten sent just 1 team to the Elite Eight despite having 9 in the tournament, including 4 top 2 seeds. We'll see if the Pac-12 can sustain its success in the long run, but for now, it's undoubtedly an exciting time for the Conference of Champions. Let's bring Skyler back in now to talk about the start of USC spring football. Skyler, how excited are you that football is coming back?
Oh, I couldn't be more excited. This is amazing. It signals the start of the season. But let's hear what head coach Clay Helton had to say about the team moving forward.
So when you think about the 14 newcomers, both transfer as well as freshmen that are on campus, as well as our second year players that really are coming off an abbreviated season and not getting a spring camp last year. This is an important time.
All right, we've heard my thoughts. We've heard Coach Helton's thoughts. Nathan, what are your thoughts going into spring ball this year?
So one of my favorite things about spring ball is this is where we really start to see those roster position battles start to take shape, right? We know who the big names are going to be, but spring ball is where we start to see who this team's X factors might be. And I couldn't be more excited to see how that all plays out.
As one of the first industries to shut down and the last to reopen, people are eager to tie the knot. Reporting from one of the most popular wedding destinations in the country, Lauren Teruya has more.
After postponing their wedding twice, high school sweethearts Kelly Simek and Tom Knapp decided to tie the knot. Simek had always dreamed of having a big wedding, but when the pandemic imposed strict gathering restrictions, Those dreams were no longer possible.
Well, one, people weren't able to travel here very easily, and two, gatherings weren't allowed, only up to then 5 people. And we went from wanting a 200-person wedding to potentially, having nothing.
Earlier this month, wedding industry professionals rallied at Honolulu Hale demanding change. On Friday, the city of Honolulu significantly eased restrictions for outdoor weddings from a cap of 10 people to 100. The president of the Oahu Wedding Association said these changes couldn't have come sooner.
A lot of us didn't qualify for those CARES Act funds. And so that was probably the biggest push initially was, to try to be recognized as an industry that, is vital to our economy here, but also is in really, poor beat up shape.
And so the fact that it came only, 4 or 5 months after the actual wedding, it was like, oh, bummer. But I thought about it. And it's like, no, that was a whole 4 or 5 months, that we wouldn't have been married, that I would have been stressing the entire time of, oh no, are we going to have to push it back? And then we'd have to start planning now.
With the billion-dollar industry back on their feet, here come the brides. Reporting from the Aloha State, for Annenberg Media, I'm Lauren Taruya.
Thousands of students who applied to USC got good news this afternoon. Nearly 71,000 first-year students applied, a historic high for the university. This year's acceptance rate is 12.4%, a 4.5-point decrease from last year. 72% of admitted students are people of color, and 20% are the first in their family to go to college. 40% are from California.
Yeah, Cambri, that is such an exciting day for the class of 2025, and congrats to everyone who got the good news, and the Trojan family is excited to welcome you. Of course, I remember 3 years ago when I got the big news that day, but I know you had kind of a more interesting story of how you found out, so you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely wasn't the standard admissions experience. I was on a mission trip at the time in Jamaica, and so my parents actually opened my packet for me and called very confused. They're like, we don't know what this means, but it says spring admit. And I was like, well, it says admit, so I must be in. And now here I am 3 years later as a junior, and it's just been the best experience of my life being a part of this community. So congratulations to everyone that's receiving that exciting news today. We can't wait to have you out here.
Yeah, I did have that standard, opening the mailbox. I saw the package, I ran upstairs. I was so nervous when I opened it and I saw the "you are admitted" and I just started screaming.
Did you start crying?
Maybe a little bit. I don't want to lie. I definitely think there were definitely some tears shed, some happy tears.
He's welting up now if you can't tell. Our cameras are good, but they may not be able to capture the slow tears.
I'm definitely holding back, just reliving that moment. But no, it was a great moment for me and my family. And congratulations to all the new students who get to experience that and to come join the Trojan family.
We can stop the I got into USC hashtag together, and maybe we'll tear up some more.
Exactly.
Off camera, of course.
Of course. We don't want to do it here. That's it for Annenberg TV News. Thanks so much for watching.
And for all of us at Annenberg Media, have a great night.